All right, remember me? Yes. It has been a little while since I recorded a video. If you've been following me on Twitter or have seen any of my updates from, you can publish community posts on YouTube, so I tried to push a few of those live to explain that I was on vacation and I would not be able to film because hotel internet is terrible and you can't upload videos, so I guess I should have brought a hotspot or something. And it was not a great week to go away, given all the stuff that happened, especially in the Destiny community. So I have to kind of play catch up a little bit here. And I have to do so quickly because I just got my second COVID vaccine dose a couple hours ago. So I need to record this before things catch up with me and any side effects knock me out, which seems inevitable at this point. So I'm sure I'll be tweeting about that if that happens. Sorry, no Evie today. I know she's missing her cameo, but she's at the groomers and I got to pick her up right after I film this, essentially. So obviously, I kind of had to come back and talk about what I've been ranting about for most of the past week here, which is Transmog. I don't even know if I need to recap this at this point, but in short, Destiny revealed the kind of full extent of how the Transmog system works. We knew that it was going to be, there's going to be a silver track and there was going to be a grinding track. What we did not know, and what I specifically said in a previous article that I hope they would avoid, is that transmog is time gated in that there is a cap on how many items you can transmog per season. This first season will be 20 items a character or per class, and then after that it will be 10 items per class. This is items, not sets, so it's individual pieces of armor like a helmet or class item or something like that. Needless to say, most of the community didn't take this very well, and I think there are kind of a few different reasons people are upset here. I think there's two main camps of this. One camp is really not going to be satisfied until this is just like a total quality of life system and there is people don't like any grinding, any monetization of it at all. It is true that there are many, many games where transmog is pretty much just that. Like you pay some in-game currency or pay nothing and you just get to make any gear look like any other type of gear for free. A lot of games have this functionality kind of built in, or if it's added, it's just like an update. I think Assassin's Creed did this at one point where they just put transmog in one of the games just, out of nowhere and just kind of a free content update. Destiny fashion is obviously more of a big deal. And so at this point, like you kind of have to operate like within the boundaries of like what we know is going to happen. Like it may not be great that Bungie is not going to do a totally free, totally easy, grind-free transmog system like other games. They spelled this out a while ago. I mean, we already knew. They said specifically that there would be a silver path and then some sort of earned currency path for transmog. So what happened this week wasn't a surprise. The surprise is the cap, in that you are limited to so few items before you will have to pay to get around the cap. Doing the math on this has just been kind of absurd. There are, I forget the exact number. I think there's at least 1,500 legendary armor pieces in the game. To do them all would take something like 15 years or like $3,000 worth of silver bundles or something. And that's just for existing armor, assuming they're not adding more in time, which obviously they are. And the problem is that they average, between the expansions and seasons, they probably average at least about 2 new sets a season. So you more or less will never be able to catch up with a 10-piece cap like that. And I know that some people are in the position where they're like, oh, well, how many pieces do you really need? How many sets do you really need? But the people who are all about transmog and have been taking transmog very seriously from the start, like they want the full spectrum. Like they want to be able to transmog everything in the game to everything, which is how most transmog systems work, free of caps. And the main point I made ahead of this announcement, trying to avoid this announcement in the first place, was that there was always going to be at least some motivation to pay silver, like at baseline, even if you have a cap. The grind sounds like we don't know exactly how long it'll take per piece. It sounds pretty tedious. It's just pretty much run strikes, do crucible, do blind well, like a bunch of different things you can do to earn the currency. Sorry, 3 different types of currency, which is its own situation, but that is not really unexpected. If you've been following Destiny at all this time, you know that they're going to have some sort of convoluted currency system for it. So that was no big surprise to me. The problem is, like, people would have skipped that grind in certain circumstances if they just, got a new armor set and instantly wanted to transmog that piece and just pay to get around whatever kind of tedious Ada grind there is. That was motivation enough. But the creation of a system that forces you into paying, if you're an avid transmog person, to get around this very low limit, is what has pushed a lot of people too far, including me. I feel like I was already trying to give a lot of ground to them. Like, I was not one of the people where I thought that Transmog absolutely 100% needed to just be free and instant and easy and whatever. Like, I thought maybe some aspects of that would have been good. Like, maybe, maybe there was a cap of like 5 instant transmogs a season. So like they put 5 pieces of synthweave in the battle pass or something, and then you can just instantly transform stuff rather than grind it. Sure, that could have been a thing that they could have capped, and then you can grind out the rest or pay if you want. But that's not what happened. And they created a system that, people say like, oh, it's not the worst transmog system, you're being hyperbolic. Like, it could have been worse in that it could have been entirely paid, true. Everything could have cost only silver, or they could have put like transmog armor pieces in loot boxes or something. But like, in terms of transmog systems that actually exists in the video game world, this is the worst system I've ever heard of. Like, it needlessly convoluted, both in the kind of the bounty part with all the different currencies, but more so in the having a cap and having a limit per season. We have not heard anything from Bungie since all of this pushback happened. There was pretty forced. I don't think I've seen the community push back on something that hard in a very long time. It got like Bungie trending on Twitter worldwide because of what people were saying about it, and it's a big deal for a lot of people. I know that some people are just kind of whatever to it, but this is kind of the latest in a long line of Eververse controversies when we thought that most of this was behind this. And like, it's not like Bungie doesn't already monetize cosmetics. Like, they put $45 worth of ornaments in the Eververse every season, and that does not seem like it's going to stop. There is a set of ornaments and a new armor set you can transmog that are through the season pass every season. And obviously there's ghosts and ornaments and sparrows and chips and stuff that are being sold too. So it's not like this revenue stream is such badly needed that, Bungie's, not selling cosmetics in any other way. Like, this is clearly a play for more silver, and that's, at least that is how it comes off. You can say maybe that is not their intent. Maybe they thought this would be a better system if it had a cap instead, making people make deliberate choices rather than just doing everything all at once whenever they wanted or whatever. But how it comes off is very much like a play to force people into grinding for more silver, or not paying for more silver. You can't grind for silver. And that is something that has come across very poorly, especially in the wake of kind of all the other issues that Destiny has and people wanting more content for this or that. And then this system comes out and it's like, okay, like really, come on. I don't know what they're going to do here. I am very curious how this is going to play out. We are 2 weeks until the new season, so it does seem somewhat unlikely that they would change anything. My guess is they want to see like what percent of the population actually hits the 20 per character cap, and how much silver they're going to spend to get over that. And then I could foresee some big data thing coming out, like the data says that only 4% of the population did all 20, transmogs on all 20 or on all 3 classes or something. So we're going to leave it. But like, I don't know if that tells the whole story, because like there are many reasons that people may not want to do transmog now because this system just sucks and they're just not going to want to do it, period, or they don't like the grindiness of it or the multiple currencies. Like, I don't think that lower numbers than the cap would reflect a non-interest in transmog. I think it would reflect a non-interest in this transmog system. Best case, I can see them raising the cap for future seasons. Like maybe they say, okay, we're going to do 20 pieces a season indefinitely. Ultimate best case is that they remove the cap entirely, which is what I have been pushing for. But both of these create a weird situation where like if anyone pays this first season, you're kind of a sucker because you kind of want to wait and see if they do raise the cap or if they do remove the cap for the following season, if they don't announce that beforehand, because stuff you pay for to get over the cap, you would have had extra room the next time around. So you've essentially paid for no real reason. And there's this theory that Bungie is set it up this way so they can just milk all the whales who want to do all the transmog up front and get them to pay. And then they're going to be like, oh, we listened. We're extending the cap, we're removing the cap. And like, I don't want to be so cynical as to suggest that that is their exact plan, but like, if that is what happens, that is what it will appear like. And I don't really want them to be in that situation because that's just continuing kind of the ugliness of this. And fundamentally, like, they screwed this up. And I've said this in articles. I have specifically told them this, like, to their faces. But we do not know what, if any, changes are coming. This may change during tomorrow's TWAB. I expect tomorrow's TWAB will be stuff about next season to some extent, like whether it's kind of more, maybe not like the reveal of the season, but maybe like Zavala is getting his seasonal rank thing for in removing tokens, and maybe we're getting the list of buffs for linear fusions and other weapons and stuff. But I would be kind of amazed if they said nothing about Transmog in the TWAB. They've had a full week to kind of digest the feedback and figure out what, if any, action they could take, even if it was just saying like, we're considering the feedback, we want to see how it goes. That would at least be a response, which is more than we've gotten so far, other than DMG saying he's collecting feedback. But maybe they will change something. This is, again, one of the loudest, most forceful pushbacks I've seen in a very long time. And usually when this happens, Bungie does sort of bend and relent. But whether they do that immediately or a month from now or a season from now is kind of anyone's guess. But fundamentally, I mean, this was a big miss, and it was kind of a layup, and I know everyone kind of predicted this would happen. Like, oh, it's the good old monkey's paw analogy of like, you wish for transmog, but when it gets here, it's the worst transmog system in any game. So that's not great. For the meantime, I guess all we can do is really plan out, what exact items we want to try and grind out for transmog first. I am starting to formulate a list in my mind. I wish I didn't really have to pick and choose, because then with the system, you run into like weird situations like, should I ever really transmog a class item because they don't have stats? So really all I'm saving myself is like some prisms and a golf ball by not masterworking just the original version I wanted. Or like, should I ever transmog warlock gloves or boots because they're so small and often so hidden? Like, is that even worth one of my precious transmog slots? Like, but these are decisions you shouldn't have to make. Like, you should be able to transmog whatever you want without like needing to worry about like the implications of hitting a cap, or like how many seasons you're gonna have to wait, or if you should like save open slots in case you figure something out later. Like, it is a mess of a convoluted system that did not need to be like this. And I honestly think like all of the other issues I could have forgiven, like the solstice glows, those were always awful and was always going to be the case. Brightest price increase is obnoxious. It comes off poorly, but I fundamentally do sort of understand it, given that shaders have not been consumable for a very long time. And that's what the old pricing reflected. And those kind of things I could be willing to look past if just the cap wasn't there. I think that is the main thing here. I was never going to push all the way for like, okay, it should just cost 500 glimmer to transmog everything you have in your inventory. Like, yeah, in a perfect world, I would love that. And there was no real reason that they couldn't do that. It's just, I understand that they wanted a revenue stream. And also, I'm fundamentally of the opinion that Bungie or Destiny kind of needs short little weird downtime quests where like, every season you kind of hit a wall with the seasonal content and like you're either done with it, like you finished it and gotten all the roles you wanted, or you're done with it as in you're annoyed with it. I think that having small little kind of chill mini grinds for individual pieces of armor or sets that you can do when there's kind of nothing else to do in the game are kind of fun, and like they could be fun in terms of like building up your collection. And like I know a lot of collectors that really just wanted to get through like as many sets as possible, like as a completionist, and that is literally impossible under this system. And it kind of destroys the idea of like a fun chill grind when you have such a cap, and like you're going to run into these limits if you were anything approaching a collector or fashion diva or whatever you want to call us. So I am hoping for some news about Transmog tomorrow, hopefully changes. But at this point, I am not fully expecting any changes for this coming season, because I do think they're going to want to look at the data and see what that is like. So I am not happy, as you have known from following me this past week here. And I know this is not the most relevant video anymore, but they literally said nothing new about it. So it's not like there's any big changes to the system to go through at this point. Watch them publish some new mea culpa article as soon as I post this video, but we'll see. So yeah, for now, that's where my head has been at for Transmog. I'm not even following Guardian games. I know Warlocks won somehow after a week of Hunter wins. I don't really care who wins. Yes, I'm doing Warlocks, but I don't know. I'm kind of done with Guardian games after I finish the Heir Apparent Catalyst. I just don't see a reason to keep doing it. I wrote an article about that, about how events are not terribly motivating to keep playing once you've done like the very bare minimum. Like they're just not very rewarding or worth doing. So we'll see. I think there will be a lot to talk about after this week's TWAB tomorrow. So we'll see what happens then. But thanks for watching, and I'll get EV back here as soon as I can for more videos. And I'm hoping to go back to daily videos. I do not know how knocked out I'll be from the vaccine tomorrow, but if I can survive it, then I'll try and film something. But if not, the next day. So, all right, thanks, guys. It's good to be back, and thanks for waiting around for me. See ya.